Thanks for joining us for another day of mobility. Let's start by finding a nice comfy spot on your mat. Taking some attention to your breath. Let's not start by trying to change it at all. Just start by observing that breath. Notice the depth. Notice the pace. Follow the sensation of that breath all the way from when it comes into your body until it leaves your body. And we'll slowly start to shape that breath into a nice relaxing version. Generally, when we slow that breath down, it helps us find a nice relaxed state. When we direct that air deep into the diaphragm, it helps us stimulate that nice relaxed state. And usually when we breathe through the nose, it helps us find that relaxed state. These are all tools we can use, but your version of the most calming breath is going to be specific to you. On your next exhale, just imagine letting go of any tension, any anxiety, any stress that's been lingering. Just imagine blowing it all out. And just appreciating some me time. All that matters for this next 20 minutes is just you and your body. Let's take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath. We'll start today's routine on the left upper traps. Let's grab our lacrosse ball in the door frame or an upright. Start by working your way through that upper trap. So the top part of that trap, to search for what needs attention there. These are stress muscles, they may be sensitive. Try to find that happy level of pressure that helps you relieve tension without adding any tension elsewhere, without adding any kind of pain. Just find that level of pressure that your body's going to be okay with today. And as we work through the traps, it can be useful to move your arm through positions you struggle with, whether that's overhead or external rotation or internal rotation. Start by experimenting with your posture and paying attention to how your trap is responding. And every chance we get, circling back to your breath, getting as passive as you can through the target area and through any muscle we don't need. Let's take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath. We'll shift into the left first rib. So very similar posture here. We're just going to shift that lacrosse ball into the pocket that sits just above your collarbone. And for most people, it's about the size of a lacrosse ball. If you find it's a little tight, feel free to just use your fingertips here as an option. Otherwise, let's settle in, get the right amount of pressure. This can be a under the radar group of muscles that can restrict overhead motion. So if you move your arm into an overhead, it can help you free up that position. And just settle into the right amount of pressure. Every chance we get, circling back to your breath. Finding that nice relaxing rhythm, pace, and shape of breath. For whatever's going to find you a nice relaxing state of mind today. And as that mind starts to settle down and relax, just imagine those relaxing vibes spreading through your whole body. We'll take one more breath here, and we'll sigh out that breath. We'll move back to your mat into a left shoulder retraction. So we'll be demoing the child's pose option here. If you just pin your left wrist to your mat with your right hand and gently lean away the opposite direction. And what we're looking for here is a subtle pressure release in the joint. To be zero pain, zero feelings of instability. If we're getting any of that stuff at all, just ease up on that tension and find a version of this exercise that gives you the stimulus that you need. And if you're doing this right, you're not going to feel much at all. We just want a little bit of breathing room in the shoulder itself so we can help those articular surfaces glide a little better and allow for better movement. Let's take one more breath here. And as you sigh out that breath, grab yourself a PVC pipe or broom handle and get into a javelin stretch. So with that arm overhead, with your body bent forward at 90 degrees, let's find an overhead stretch through that left shoulder. And as we settle in, try to pay attention to which muscles are holding you back. Whatever muscle feels like it's being pulled, just try to mentally hit that off switch. And get as deep as we can into our pain-free range. Again, should be zero pain, that is a hard roll. No feelings of instability, just a nice stretch through the whole family of overhead muscles. Concentrate on getting as passive as we can, and in 10 seconds, we will gently get active by attempting to push the pipe through the floor to reverse the stretch. And let's go ahead, starting with nice easy tension, slowly ramping up that tension as we go, activating through those lats, trying to pull that pipe down, ramp up that tension as we go, big squeeze here to finish. 3, 2, 1, let's gently reverse, squeeze through that posterior delt. Actively try to pull your chest closer to the floor, holding that stretch, elbow nice and locked, ramp up that tension as we go, finish with a big squeeze, 3, 2, 1, big breath out, relax, get nice and passive. Scan through that whole family of shoulder muscles. Anything that feels tense is feeling like it's being pulled, mentally try to turn it off. Nice relaxing rhythm of your breath. We'll take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath and move to the right side. So grabbing that lacrosse ball in on that right upper trap. Search for tension on this side. If you remember where you found tension on the left, feel free to start around that same area on the right. Doesn't mean it'll feel the same. It's never a bad idea to start there. And if it doesn't feel the same, just feel free to keep searching. We've all got imbalances and differences side to side. Just be sensitive to that and pay attention to what this side is telling you it needs. And once you're there, concentrate on finding that nice rhythm and relaxing state of breath. That shape of breath that's going to help that mind relax. And just let those relaxing vibes permeate through your whole body. There are some muscles we need to hold this, especially on our feet. But any muscle we don't need, just gently hit that off switch. Let it go to sleep as you breathe out that air. Directing that air deep into the diaphragm. Breathing through the nose if you can. Staying in your happy place. Let's take a breath out and we'll just shift into that first rib area. Again, start with that pocket with the lacrosse ball. If you find the lacrosse ball is not the great shape for your first rib pocket, feel free to use the fingertips in there. Being sensitive to what your body's okay with today. Always letting pain be your guide. We don't want pain or numbness or tingling. It can feel a little foreign, a little unusual. But anything that doesn't feel right or painful, just ease up on that tension. If you've been at this for a while, your tissues are starting to adapt and become okay with this, feel free to continue to be progressive, being slightly more aggressive each time, but always being conscious of how your body's responding. Every chance we get, circle back to your breath. Remaining calm mentally and physically. Slowly letting go of any tension, any stress, any anxiety as you breathe out that air. Concentrate on what's right in front of you, right here and now. Just allow yourself to enjoy the moment. Let's take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh that out. And we'll transition to the right side, shoulder traction. So we'll pin that right wrist to your mat using your left hand and gently leaning in the opposite direction. And again, being nice and sensitive to how your body's responding. It'd be zero pain, zero feelings of instability, only a subtle pressure release. And concentrate on relaxing those muscles that are close to the shoulder. That armpit area, those posterior delts, through those lats, your pecs. Gotta let them all go to sleep. Let's take one more good quality diaphragmatic breath here. As we sigh that out, we'll shift into a right side javelin stretch. Grabbing that pipe or broom handle. Bending at the hips. Like you're about to throw that pipe through the floor. Settle into a nice overhead stretch. Nice relaxing stretch. Try not to force yourself in. Try to relax yourself in. As you get in here, whatever muscles feel like they're resisting this stretch, try to mentally turn the off switch, whether that's your tricep or your bicep or your pecs or your lats or your T-spine, your traps, anything that's on right now, especially if it feels like it's being pulled, just try to gently relax it. And in 10 seconds, we will gently get active to attempt to reverse the stretch by pressing that pipe into the floor. And let's start. Let's go nice and easy to start this out. Slowly ramping up that tension as we go. Continue adding pressure. Finish with a big squeeze here, the last 5. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Actively trying to pull your chest closer to the floor, holding that stretch, keeping the triceps nice and locked. Ramp up that tension as we go. Finish with a big squeeze here for these last 5. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Settle back into that passive position. Again, scan through anything that's on that doesn't need to be. You're getting depth in the stretch. It's by relaxing tissues, not by forcing. Settle into that nice relaxing rhythm of your breath. Let's take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh that out. And we'll shift into the left T-spine. So we'll grab that lacrosse ball. We'll go face up on your lacrosse ball. And just searching through that whole muscle group that live along your spine next to your ribs. And anything that feels tense in there. Give it some extra attention. You can experiment with how you're addressing it. You can roll on it. You can roll in either direction. You can just hang out there passively. It can be helpful to release that tissue while we're in an overhead, so reaching that left arm overhead or both. You can experiment with how much of your body is in contact with the mat. Just start lifting little portions to add pressure, or putting more portions on the mat to take away pressure. Once you're into your right level of pressure and tension for today, concentrate on breath, getting passive through that target area and through any stress muscles, any muscles that are working right now that don't need to be. Just let them take a break. Take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath, and we'll shift to the right side. If you found a good target on that left, feel free to start around the same spot on the right side. If it doesn't feel like it needs the same attention, feel free to keep searching along the line of those ribs until you find a good area that needs some attention. And once we're there, again, experiment with how we're addressing that tension. Are we going to roll on that ball? We're going to roll front to front, side to side. Are we just going to hang out there? Are we going to move into an overhead? Feel out what feels right for today, what feels like it's helping that tissue settle down. And once we're there, settle back to your breath. Let that breath continue to calm your mind. And try to challenge yourself to get more passive with each passing breath. Relaxing through that target area, through the traps, through the neck, through your face, through your cheeks, through your mouth. Any areas you feel tension, just let it go. Breathe it out. Let's take one more breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath. And we'll transition into a segmental work through that T-spine. We're going to use that foam roller for today. If you don't have a foam roller, you can do a modified version with the lacrosse ball. So we'll just start moving through that thoracic spine one segment at a time. And the goal here is to try to move through that one single segment. So keeping your hips fairly locked, trying to bend your spine on that foam roller one segment at a time. And any segment that feels like it's not moving, feels like you're getting less movement there, give that a little extra attention. So this is a fairly active exercise. Trying to actively move that T-spine into new range, one segment at a time. Working within your pain-free range, but also challenging yourself to find new range. Continue to work through the length of that spine in the areas that feel most sticky. And we'll take one more breath here. We'll sigh out that breath. Let's grab your pipe. Have a seat on a table or a couch or a box. Something that has enough room for you to move with that pipe in an overhead position. And we'll start by rotating your torso as far as we can to the right. Gently laterally bending towards your right, unbending and twisting back to center, and continuing to the left. Twist as far as we can to the left, and bend as far as we can to the left. Staying within your pain-free range of motion, and with each rep challenging yourself to get a tiny bit further into your end range, and even attempting to carve out new range. Let's give a good squeeze here through this last rep. Let's breathe out that tension. Sigh it all out. Let's move into a puppy stretch. So for the puppy stretch, it's like a child's pose, except the hips are going to be roughly above the knees to target that mid-back. You should get a bit of a shoulder stretch in here. You should really feel that mid-back being extended. Once we're into this stretch, concentrate on getting as passive as we can, keeping your lungs sink to that target tissue. So you let go of that air. Imagine letting go of that tension. Getting as passive as you can. Enjoying this position. And in 10 seconds, we'll start to slowly get active by attempting to crunch our way out of this stretch, squeezing your ribs down towards your pelvis. And let's go ahead. Starting with nice easy tension. Attempting to move your spine in the opposite direction, ramping up that tension as we go. Finishing with a big squeeze here. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Trying to actively pull yourself deeper into the stretch, ramping up that tension as we go. Really giving a good squeeze here for these last 5. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax, getting nice and passive. Submit to that puppy stretch in whatever level of stretch feels right today. We're finding depth by relaxing, not by forcing. Nice and calm mentally. Nice, enjoyable, relaxing shape of breath. Let's take one more good quality breath here. We'll slowly sigh out that breath, and we'll call it a day. Thanks for joining us here with some 5-pillar mobility. Hope your body's feeling great after that routine. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.